Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today I wanted to touch on something that, yet again, is as always special to me in my heart, as I hope almost everything that I talk about is. However, the topic I would love to touch on is going to be about the difference between those kingdoms who do a lot of PvP and maybe don't develop as fast as other kingdoms who focus more on development but maybe do a little bit less PvP. And or, as kind of a third option, kingdoms that can kind of strike a good healthy balance between development and the appropriate, almost the necessary amount of PvP. And then touch on specifically, right, this idea that kingdoms who just do nothing but fight or nothing but have PvP, or those that do a lot of it, are going to be more well prepared when something such as a KvK comes, or in Call of Dragon's case, right, a merge happens between, from what we understand, are going to be the four kingdoms, and which alliances or which kingdoms are going to be more prepared for war versus others. And there's this whole idea of that, because I often hear this, right, for kingdom builders I've played, where you'll have some people who just feel so strongly about if you just don't fight a lot, or if you're in a farming kingdom and you're not in any type of civil war, any kind of hurdle or true testament of a fighter's resilience, that your kingdom's just not going to be that well off when a KvK comes around, or a situation comes around where you really are going to need a high amount of active fighters, or for people just to really show up. And so I want to dive into that and kind of put this, I almost want to call it a rumor, right? This type of facade that's the case, to rest. And I'm going to explain why I think this is important. I read a comment, or I read a post on the official Rock Discord that I wanted to read, and then we're going to talk about this as well. So before we get started, as always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. All right. So let me switch this up. So I'm going through this chat as I'm trying to find my water bottle, thank you. And I still have a lot of messages to read through. But I thought it would be good to touch on something, and I'm going to reply to this in text format as well, but anytime I see a good topic, that I think a good video topic for a post that someone makes or something they mention, I love being able to dive further and deeper into it, because I also think that hopefully it helps those out there at least to be exposed to a different mindset and a different way of thinking, and sometimes how easy or how easier things may seem than they may appear. That sounded good in my head. But as we talk here, right, so I want to focus here on what Alpha said. So Alpha said, yes, this was a comment, right, where let me scroll up here. I think ENH said, sure, but you guys haven't had a trial by fire yet. It's easy to say that until you're losing and people get unhappy. I've seen similar things happen before. And I'm trying to see here where the previous comment was. He says, we don't have fake relationships here. Okay, I think it might have been this one, right? We don't have fake relationships here. Everyone in the kingdom enters. Here it is. So it starts here, where he says, I'm interested to see how many S4 alliances actually stick together after the merge. It's easy to be neutral on a peaceful server, but interesting stuff may happen after passes open. And then the comment here, as we scroll down, let's see where it was that I missed, because that might have been a little bit farther up. Around 4 million. Here we go. Right, it says, we don't have fake relationships here. Everyone in the kingdom enters the alliance they want like an open door. Everyone has friends in other alliances, and it doesn't matter what tag your name starts with. We're just all together. When needed, all of the kingdom's strongest players can be in UNT or POS and any other of our alliances, all for one for all. Right, and then ENH says, from what Predator said, right, you guys haven't had the trial by fire yet, right? It's easy to say that until you're losing and people get unhappy. Then we get to where's my comment here at? Right, 3 in the morning or something, which is super late. This is why it's important for people to tag responses. So we have those, right? Okay. Then we have it here where it's Yes, until those yes, until those active guy doesn't experience the battlefield, they will likely stay. Once they experience it, that's where quitting coming in as many a free to play or semi will get zero and will be lazy to farm back again as their progress got we'll just say effed up upon the war or messed up. And I don't think they can sustain going frequently. War, as many on S4 were free to play and were just semi free to play. So I think many S4 might quit and will be joining Des 5. It's always happened. I won't be surprised if many will quit in Season 2, not only S4, but all the servers. So I think the thing here is to understand that this is not a difficult thing to do. I really want to hammer this point home, right? Because this is really kind of a golden goose question on, how do you as a kingdom try to increase the activity and the overall engagement that your players may or may not have in your kingdom, right? How do you get more players, right? If you have 1,000 players in your kingdom, how are you going to get as many of those players, if not up to all 1,000 of your active players, to actually come and participate and fight? And then beyond that, beyond just getting them to the starting line, how do you sustain that? How do you keep them in the fight? How do you keep them being willing to engage and to enjoy the PvP and to keep coming back for more? That then, right, that's kind of your two-part golden question in any kingdom builder. And what I will do for you, without diving too far into detail, I want to touch on the two main things here, right? Which is one, the idea that if you don't fight enough or if you don't do enough PvP in your kingdom, that your overall kingdom is not going to be as war ready / battle tested as others. I personally do not believe that. What I believe is that the biggest impact is just kind of taking that first step, right? Just getting out there and fighting. But it's really bigger than that. It's about having a level of understanding, confidence, and comfortability to go out there and fight. And the only way you're going to feel confident about going out and fighting is if you know what you're doing. Now, this isn't like an on-the-job training type thing, right? Where the only way you're going to learn is by just going out there and doing it, right? I don't want to say despise, because that's a strong word, but I do not appreciate when players will say things such as that, where it's, oh, you just have to go out there and fight, and then you're just going to learn as you go. No, broski. How you're going to initially learn is by educating yourself, is by going and doing trial and error testing, right? Figuring out your hero pairings, your talents, your artifact usage, and then your unit setups before you go out and fight, right? It's the same thing. You're building muscle memory, right? Think about any person who plays a sport that is trying to become a professional, right? If you're playing basketball, you're doing 100 free throws and 100 twos and 100 threes. You're playing tennis, you're doing 100 forehands, 100 backhands, 100 serves. You're doing soccer, you're doing 100 dribbles, you're doing 100 shots, you're working on your left foot, working on your right foot, you're doing 100 passes to the wing, to that wing, etc. You are building muscle memory and therefore second nature characteristics over a period of time. And that's really what it's about. So, an example of this, if I would to be, okay, well, I need to figure this out. Okay, so I'll go into my heroes and I'll figure out, okay, well, who do I have that I can run well, right? Maybe I'll also go out and watch some videos. Maybe I'll talk to some other people that have this. Maybe my alliance and or kingdom will send good PvP mails that will explain, hey, these are the hero pairings you should run if you're spending money. If you're free to play, these are the hero pairings that you should run. This is why you should run them. This is what your skill order should be. This is what your talent tree focus should be on, right? So maybe you go more overall. Maybe you go more skill, right? Maybe you do 60% skills, 40%, or whatever it may be. You invest this amount of points there, right? You can explain those things in a alliance mail and talk about, these are the milestone talents that you should hit as you go up each tree. You can do those types of things and explain that information in a mail. You can do things such as having kind of mock wars or mock tests, right? If you're in a kingdom where you're able to do organized PvP, that actually will encourage more players to come out and fight and to practice their pairings. Additionally, if you try and get players in voice, that can add on another layer of confidence building and comfortability building, right? So it really starts with having to educate and to inform players first and foremost. They have to have resources. They have to know what to do in a sense and what's ideal, so you can establish a foundation for them, and then they can build upon that as they go. And then you add on the other layers to it, and now you're just building confidence. You're not going to immediately build confidence in a fast way if you just tell them, hey, just show up at this coordinate and help us fight. Especially if you're free to play. Like, I've been in that situation before where, as a free-to-play playing Rise of Kingdoms, for the first few kingdoms I played in, if there was ever a war that happened, or I should say when there was some wars that happened, whether it was between one alliance or multiple alliances for the few situations I was privy to, I was never educated. I was never informed. I was never, no one shared their knowledge with me on how to do these things. So I was a chicken with my head cut off. I just had no idea what to do. And when you're in that situation, you don't feel confident. I didn't actually participate as much as I would have liked to. Why? Because I didn't know what to do. And I'm not talking about not knowing what to do in the sense of me, clicking on here and clicking deploy and then choosing my heroes and my unit variation. That's easy, right? Everyone can do that. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is knowing what to choose, what customizations to make, and how to put out an ideal march, an ideal legion, I should say, before you actually go out and start fighting. And then, from there, knowing what and how to kind of use that legion in an efficient and effective way. And then you start adding on the other elements, right? By sending out the well-formatted alliance mails, joining in on voice calls, those types of things, right? Those are ways that you engage and you interact with your community, your kingdom members, in a more impactful way. Right? That's how you go from having 10 to 15 people joining a voice call to 50 to 60 people, and then eventually maybe to 100 plus people, right, in a voice call or in multiple stage channels, whatever it may be. That's how you get to that point. And I think that is really the true testament of what it means to have kind of a battle-tested, a battle-ready kingdom, is that you don't have to always be in a situation where you're just constantly fighting and at war all the time, or where you have a long period of fighting with multiple alliances that are involved, right? You can get a lot more out of having organized PvP. However, the one thing I will say, right, and this is kind of this is an asterisk, I don't know if I want to say small or big, the one thing I will say is that the only thing that you really can't be prepared for is that type of lawless PvP, right? And that's really what the kind of civil wars get you. However, I still feel that it leans more in favor of doing organized PvP if you do it right and if you do it appropriately with how you're setting it up to simulate, to mimic as close as you can get to for again, that type of lawless, that real-time live PvP that you get. And you can benefit from that and be more prepared for that because you're taking time to organize your alliance and or hopefully your kingdom as a whole. And there are ways that you can simulate and get close to. An example of this would be what Server 4 was doing, right, with their PvP event, right, where they had 4 or 5 alliances, and they were just basically, for however long, it felt like it lasted a few hours, right? But it lasted for a decent amount of time, and these players were just constantly refreshing themselves, right? Now, obviously, it didn't really deal a lot with kind of doing the flag pushing, right, back and forth, because that would also be another element when you're constantly fighting, right, is where you're basically either constantly destroying their flag, or you're building or you're defending yours. Maybe you're building barricades, you're working yourself up to a pass, etc. I mean, or their center fortress, whatever it may be, right? There are some different elements, but those are things you can still practice for. You can do flag wars where you just put a flag next to each other and you guys attack and defend a flag, and whoever can get the flag down, right, wins, right? I mean, again, those you just have to think outside the box. You know, I don't want to give all my secrets away, but these are things that you can do. And the challenge is that the majority of kingdoms, in my experience, for the multiple games I've played, just don't think about doing these things, right? They look at these things with kind of these headers on, right, where they're just tunnel visioning on this really small area, and they're not really thinking outside of the box on how can we stimulate, how can we approach this in a unique way that is going to get as many players as possible to participate with us when we actually go out and fight. And even though I may not have given you every single thing that I have available to how I would do things, I have given you what I hope is a few examples and enough for you to try and piece together the rest of the picture, right, from giving you hopefully a nice foundation to build upon. Because this is something that I'm just not I just don't really like when people say that, because it comes off to me as though it's coming from a place of being uninformed, coming from a lack of experience, of not being in a position where you are running an alliance and or beyond that managing a kingdom and really understanding how to increase these things, or why are you not having a lot of people that show up to fight. There's reasons for that. And one word could just be, player engagement. Could be human resources, right? Player outreach. And, these are things that, I would imagine probably the majority is just not aware of or just doesn't do, right? That's kind of the idea of, giving some TLC, some tender love and care. And, it's one of the best ways that you can really reach out to people. And again, hopefully without me kind of getting to a point now where it's rambling too much, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I was able to explain, hopefully, a good amount of what goes into this, why there's this misconception about kingdoms that need to have a decent amount of fighting to be war ready versus farming kingdoms who may not do a lot of PvP. And the very last thing I'm going to say, this is just for the obvious part, is that, of course, if you're in a kingdom and you guys don't do any organized PvP, you guys don't do any fighting, and you're just focusing 100% on development, yeah, that should go without saying. That kingdom is probably not going to be in the best state if and when a merge happens where they're going to be possibly put into a position where they're going to have to fight. Yeah, you're probably not going to have any experience, and then that would hold up. But that's just kind of an obvious observance. If you're literally doing no PvP practice, right? That just kind of goes without saying. And I don't think anyone's saying that. It's just sometimes to me that's how it comes across for some. And I'm not saying this person, right, that we looked at, or any of the people that we looked at were saying that. But it was something that stimulated and really popped that topic into my mind, because I think it's just important. I think these types of things are hopefully good for newer players to understand, and for those that maybe have been playing a while but just haven't subjected themselves to a lot of different kingdom situations. But hopefully this will be a good perspective to be brought, or that I'm providing. With that in mind, now as we get to the end, I would love to hear what you guys think, right? So let me know in the comments down below, right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you have a different perspective? Do you think having a kingdom that is unified and focusing on development while having a healthy balance of organized PvP is really that happy medium? Or are you still of the mindset that you just have to do a lot of PvP regardless if it's organized or lawless, and no matter what happens to the kingdom, you just have to have that if you want any chance of survival when these eventual merges come down? I'd love to hear anything and everything. So that is it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.